Some secrets don't destroy a home overnight. They sit quietly at the dinner table, hiding behind normal conversations, until one unexpected question brings everything to the surface. What would you do if the one person you thought would never notice, saw everything? This is the story of a man, his hidden life, and the moment his stepson asked a question that changed everything. No shouting. No drama. Just silence, and truth. Stay with me, because this story isn't just about betrayal. It's about choices, consequences, and the kind of honesty that comes too late. There are questions you expect from a child. Simple ones. Harmless ones. What's for dinner? Can I go out tonight? Where's mom? And then, there are questions that don't belong in a kitchen. Questions that stop time. Questions that make a man realize, too late, that something has already been seen, already been understood, even if no one has said it out loud. That evening started like any other. The house was quiet in the way only lived-in homes can be, soft sounds layered over silence. The hum of the refrigerator. The ticking clock above the sink. The faint noise of a television playing in the background, left on more for comfort than attention. I stood at the counter, cutting vegetables I didn't really care about. My hands moved out of habit, not focus. My mind was somewhere else entirely, somewhere it had been drifting to far too often. She wasn't home yet. That was part of the problem. Or maybe, the reason everything had become a problem. I didn't hear him walk in at first. My stepson had that habit, moving quietly, like he didn't want to disturb anything. He was at that age where he was no longer a child, but not quite a man either. Observant. Quiet. Always watching more than he spoke. Smells good, he said. His voice snapped me back. I glanced over my shoulder. It's just something quick. He nodded, stepping into the kitchen, leaning casually against the counter. Nothing unusual. Nothing alarming. At least, not yet. You cook more these days, he added. I shrugged. Someone has to. That was the kind of answer adults give when they don't want to explain more. He didn't respond immediately. Just watched me. That should have been my first warning. There was something in the way he looked at me, not accusing, not confrontational, just aware. Too aware. I went back to cutting, hoping the conversation would drift into something normal. It didn't. Instead, he asked it. Calmly. Casually. Like he was asking about the weather. Do you still see her? The knife stopped mid-motion. I didn't turn around. Didn't breathe. For a second, just 1 second, I thought I had misheard him. But I hadn't. The room changed. Everything felt sharper. Louder. The ticking clock suddenly unbearable. See who? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Too steady. He didn't take the bait. The woman, he said. The one you meet when mom isn't around. There it was. No anger. No hesitation. Just truth. Laid flat on the table like it had always been there. I turned slowly this time. Looked at him fully. He didn't look away. That's when I knew. This wasn't a guess. This wasn't suspicion. He knew. And suddenly, everything I thought I had hidden, every careful step, every quiet moment, every lie wrapped in normalcy, felt exposed. Not to the world. Not to her. But to him. And somehow, that felt worse. You shouldn't say things like that, I replied. It was weak. I knew at the moment it left my mouth. He tilted his head slightly, studying me. Why, he asked. Because it's not true, or because you don't want it to be? That question hit harder than the first. I opened my mouth to respond, but nothing came out. Because the truth? The truth didn't live in words anymore. It lived in silence. And he could hear it. He straightened slightly, no longer leaning, no longer casual. "I'm not a kid," he said quietly. "I notice things." I believed him. That was the problem. "How long?" he asked. I exhaled slowly, setting the knife down. There was no point pretending anymore. "Not here. Not now." "Long enough," I said. He nodded. Not shocked. Not angry. Just processing. That scared me more than anything else. "You love her?" he asked. That question. That one cut deeper than the rest. Because it wasn't about being caught. It wasn't about guilt. It was about something far more dangerous. Truth. And for the first time since all of this began, I didn't know how to answer. I didn't answer him right away. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because saying it out loud would make it real in a way I hadn't allowed myself to accept. He watched me the entire time. Not impatient. Not pushing. Just waiting. That was the unsettling part about him. He didn't behave like someone his age. There was a stillness to him, a kind of quiet intelligence that made you feel like you were always one step behind. "I didn't come here to fight," he said finally. "I'm not fighting," I replied. He gave a small nod. "No. You're avoiding." That landed harder than I expected. I leaned back against the counter, folding my arms, not defensively, but to steady myself. "How much do you think you know?" I asked. He didn't hesitate. "I know you leave when Mom thinks you're working late," he said. "I know you change your shirt sometimes before coming home. And I know you smile at your phone in a way you don't smile here." Each word was measured. Observed. Collected over time. This wasn't a moment. This had been building. "And I saw you once," he added. That made my chest tighten. "Where?" I asked, quieter now. He looked down briefly, then back at me. "Near the cafe on 3rd. You didn't see me. You were different." Different. That word echoed longer than anything else he said. Because it was true. With her, I wasn't the same man who stood in this kitchen pretending everything was under control. I wasn't weighed down by routine, responsibility, or the quiet distance that had settled into my marriage over the years. With her, I felt seen. Alive. And now, somehow, he had seen that too. "I wasn't going to say anything," he continued. "At first." "Then why now?" He paused. That was the first time he hesitated. "Because it's changing things," he said. "Even if you think it's not." I swallowed slowly. "What things?" He glanced toward the hallway, toward the part of the house where her presence still lingered even in her absence. "Her," he said simply. That was enough. Silence stretched between us again, but this time it wasn't empty. It was heavy with everything we both understood but hadn't fully spoken. "I don't hate you for it," he said after a while. That caught me off guard. "I'm not asking you to," I replied. "I know," he said. "That's the problem." I frowned slightly. "What does that mean?" He stepped closer, not confrontational, just intentional. "It means you've already decided what this is," he said. "And you're okay with it." That wasn't entirely true. But I didn't correct him. Because part of me knew, he wasn't completely wrong. The house felt different after that night. Not visibly. Not in ways anyone else would notice. But something had shifted beneath the surface, like a crack forming in glass, invisible until the right light hits it. We didn't talk about it again the next morning. Or the next day. But silence has a way of speaking louder than words when two people are carrying the same secret. He became more observant. Not intrusive, he didn't ask more questions, didn't push. But I could feel it. The way his eyes lingered just a little longer. The way he seemed to listen between conversations, not just to them. And me? I became careful. Too careful. Every movement, every word, every excuse, calculated in a way it hadn't been before. Because now, I wasn't just hiding from my wife. I was hiding from someone who already knew. And somehow, that felt worse. One evening, we found ourselves alone again. Same kitchen. Same quiet hum of the house settling into night. He sat at the table this time, not leaning, not observing from a distance. Just sitting. Waiting. "You're still seeing her," he said. Not a question. A statement. I didn't deny it. "No point lying now," I replied. He nodded slowly. "Does she make you happy?" That question again. Different tone this time. Less sharp. More curious. "Yes," I said after a moment. The honesty surprised even me. He leaned back slightly, absorbing that. "And Mom?" "That one." I didn't answer right away. Because happiness isn't always simple. It doesn't always exist in the places it's supposed to. "It's not the same," I said finally. He studied me carefully. "That doesn't mean it's gone," he replied. I looked at him then, really looked. And for the first time I didn't see a boy. I saw someone who understood more than he should have. "Why are you asking me all this?" I said quietly. He shrugged, but there was no indifference in it. "Because no one else is," he said. That answer stayed with me long after the conversation ended. Because he was right. No one else was asking. No one else was looking closely enough to see what was happening beneath the surface. Except him. It's strange how quickly a shared secret can change a relationship. Not in obvious ways. But in small, subtle shifts that grow over time. We started talking more after that. Not about her, not directly. But about things that circled around it. Choices. Regret. What people owe each other, and what they don't. It wasn't intentional. It just happened. One night, we sat in the living room, the TV playing something neither of us was watching. "Do you think people always mean to hurt each other?" he asked. I glanced at him. "No," I said. "Most of the time, they don't." "Then why does it still happen?" I exhaled slowly. Because wanting something doesn't always come with permission. He considered that. "And you?" he asked. "Did you mean to?" There it was again. That directness. That refusal to let things stay vague. "No," I admitted. "But you're still doing it." "Yes." He nodded. No judgment. Just understanding. And that was what made it harder. Because it would have been easier if he hated me. If he was angry. If he made me the villain. But he didn't. He just saw me. Fully. And that kind of clarity leaves no place to hide. It happened a week later. Not in the kitchen. Not in the living room. But at the dinner table. She was there. Smiling. Talking. Completely unaware of the quiet storm that had been building just beneath the surface. Everything felt normal. Too normal. Until he spoke. "I saw Dad near 3rd Street last week," he said casually. My chest tightened instantly. She looked up. "Oh? What were you doing there?" He shrugged. "Just out." Then he looked at me. Not accusing. Not exposing. Just holding the moment. I met his gaze. And in that second everything hung in balance. He could say it. He could end it. Right there. Right then. But he didn't. Instead, he looked back at her and smiled slightly. He looked happy, he said. That was it. Nothing more. The conversation moved on. She didn't question it. Didn't suspect anything. But I couldn't breathe properly for the rest of the night. Because I understood something then that I hadn't before. He wasn't trying to expose me. He was giving me a choice. A chance. Not to keep going. But to decide what kind of man I was going to be moving forward. Later that night, as I stood alone in the kitchen again, he walked in quietly. "You didn't say anything," I said. "No," he replied. "Why?" He looked at me for a long moment before answering. "Because I wanted you to understand something first," he said. "What?" "That you're not hiding," he said quietly. "You're being seen, and you still have time to decide what that means." Then he turned and walked away. Leaving me there. Alone. Not with fear. Not with panic. But with something far heavier. Clarity. And the realization that sometimes the most dangerous question isn't the one that exposes you. It's the one that forces you to finally face yourself. Sometimes, the people we think are unaware are the ones who see us most clearly. This wasn't just a story about secrets, it was about the quiet moment when everything could have fallen apart, but didn't. If this story made you think, reflect, or even question your own choices, then it did exactly what it was meant to do. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful, emotionally intense stories that explore the hidden truths behind relationships and human decisions. And tell me in the comments. If you were in his position, would you confess, or keep living the lie? Your answer might say more than you think. Disclaimer. This story is a work of fiction created for entertainment purposes. It explores complex emotional and relationship themes and is not intended to promote or encourage any real-life actions.